I would argue that being a transparent business in today's world and into the future is one of the key attributes that will decide whether you survive into the future or not. And so being as transparent and open and honest with your business and to your consumers, to your customer base, to your audience, it enables you to build a relationship of trust with them from the very beginning. And, this isn't to say that older companies can't adopt a model of transparency 10, 20 years in. It's very possible, but it's about building that layer of trust as you would in any relationship by being open and honest with what you're doing, with the processes you're using, with the products and materials, who you're working with. And, this is kind of a foreign concept to a lot of businesses that are older because we're so used to that model of competition and hold your cards close to your chest. Whereas today we've come into a time where businesses are much more open to being collaborative, and consumers are demanding that businesses become transparent. They're demanding that they see where their products are coming from, who makes their products. And I'm going to show you some cool examples of companies that are doing that really well and organizations that are really shining a light on the importance of transparency in all industries, really. So you build that trust from the very beginning. So crucial. I'll give you an example. We've tried as a business to be as transparent as possible, even when, it was hard to do so. And when I say that, I mean, it's hard to admit that the product isn't going to be on this time schedule that you once believed it was. That's been something that I've struggled with as a founder for a long time because I'm an optimist and I think I can do things much quicker than I can. But I'm also a big believer in doing things right. And in order to do things right, it takes time and it takes patience in the process. And so by bringing you along, at least I can feel comfortable that I have shown you exactly why we've stopped or, gone a lot slower than once anticipated. And in our process, I mean, one of the best examples of us having to change our minds in a big way was at the very beginning, and I'll be the first to admit this, I was hell-bent on using faux leather, vegan leather. In other words, not using real leather. And to be honest, I didn't have a great example other than I was looking to the marketing of the companies that were leading the way in these vegan leather movements. And to me, the word vegan was on the same playing field as the word sustainable. But what we've come to found over lots of research and conversations is that, while faux leather and vegan leather works for some people, and that's completely fine, no judgment passed, it is unfortunately not climate neutral, it's not sustainable, and it's not environmentally friendly because it is an industrial product that requires a lot of chemicals to produce. And we are not interested in harming the environment, but also we're not interested in introducing new products to the environment if we can avoid it. And that's kind of where that conversation of leather came in, where we asked the question, how might we make use of leather that's already existing in the ecosystem and might otherwise be put into landfills. So viewing that waste leather as an asset rather than waste has been a big thing for us. And we looked to what was the important thing about our products. So I've got some vegan leather here. You can see it scratches quite easy. And one of the core qualities of our products and what we wanted them to stand for was around long-term sustainability, longevity, timelessness, and the ability to be durable enough to be passed through generations. So not put into a landfill, but rather passed on to your daughter or your son or last for a lifetime essentially. And if it's not for you, you can send it back and we will repurpose it so that we're always in that circular motion rather than straight line to the dump. Not interested in that. Here's some leather. It's so much more durable. So that's an example from our company. For consumers, I want to talk about how you can spot out a transparent company. this will take 30 seconds to a minute of your time, if that. And, if your curiosity allows, it can go a lot further. You can get to know a company in a much deeper, meaningful way by listening to podcasts, reading articles, connecting online. But it's not difficult for you to play a role in the sustainable movement. And it's as simple as going onto the websites that you generally purchase from, or you're going to make a purchase from, and clicking on that About page. And the About page will tell you about the team. If they're good, they'll probably tell you the backstory. Stories go a long way, as long as they're honest. And I want to show you an example of a company that's doing a great job of this, and a company that's not really hitting the mark. So take these small steps, be aware, demand transparency, demand answers, make sure you know where your products are being made, make sure you know who is making those products, and that they are being paid fairly and applauded for their work, because they are the people that are sitting in, day out to create these incredible products for you, which, by the way, that is how luxury fashion once upon a time started, with people like Coco Chanel hand stitching. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, I am always around, and hope everybody has a great week, and I'll be back next week. So as I said, I was going to show you some websites that do a not so great job, and the websites that are leading the way in transparency. This is a website that my friend was browsing. Things look okay, but the key is to go down to that About Us section, because that'll really tell you a story about the company. And so you see here, they basically say our factories are in Vietnam and the Philippines, and they are for high-end fashion brands. However, because of agreement clauses, we are unable to disclose their names. Honestly, I think this is where consumers can ask for a lot more, because you look at a company like Everlane, who is very much leading the way to radical transparency. As you see, it is right in their mission statement, and they go as far as showing us the locations of where their factories are, so you can click on their factories around the world, so you can see where it's coming from too, how far it takes to get to us, the carbon footprint. But then you can also go further and explore that factory to learn about their story. So it's not only telling the Everlane story anymore, it's actually going into that factory. You can see they've taken photos, they've taken the time to travel the world and visit these factories to ensure they are in fact meeting sustainable standards. So looking for something like this takes maybe a minute out of your day, and it helps you support truly sustainable, transparent businesses. Fashion Revolution does a great job of actually highlighting the faces behind these makers, these incredibly creative people who are working day in, day out to make our clothing, deserve to have their faces, their voices, and their stories told.